Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. St. Kitts and Nevis's Prime Minister commits to major road repair and rehabilitation in his constituency. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 31st January 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for St. Christopher 8, Dr. Terence Drew, spoke of plans for his constituency ranging from fixing roads to solving the long-standing water problem that has been plaguing communities within the constituency. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline reports.
Prime Minister and Member of Parliament for St. Christopher 8, Dr. Terence Drew, spoke of plans for his constituency ranging from fixing roads to solving the long-standing water problem that has been plaguing communities within the constituency. For his hometown of St. Peter's, Dr. Drew promised to fix the roads, which are in pretty bad shape and were not included among the Island Main Road network that was resurfaced under the Team Unity administration.
The road to St. Peter's was axed out of the planned resurfacing of the Island Main Road, which took a number of years. St. Peter's, we were told that we are not part of the Island Main Road network, even though St. Peter's is the largest community outside of Bastia and growing, and will grow significantly. And so I want to say, as I'm a member of the St. Peter's community, grew up in St. Peter's, continue to live in St. Peter's, live most of my life in St. Peter's. My property is in St. Peter's. And I want to say to the people of St. Peter's today that in the last budget, we have allotted millions of dollars to get the road to St. Peter's done. And that will be done. St. Peter's will not be left behind when it comes to this significant infrastructural development.
In a previous interview with SK Newsline, then Minister of Public Infrastructure Sean Richards, in explaining why St. Peter's was left out of the major road resurfacing years ago, said this was due to plans by Public Works to do major infrastructure work in addition to the road resurfacing, and that this would have taken more time to do. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also spoke of plans to finish the health centre in St. Peter's and solving the acute water shortage issue in Keon.
The other thing I want to say is that the health center in St. Peter's was left abandoned, undone. If you go there, there's a sign that says, health center coming soon. And up to now, they did not deliver the health center. I want to say again, we have allotted in the budget monies to complete the St. Peter's health center. Water situation is a terrible situation. I want to update the people that BEAD is here. The drill or the rig is already functional. It is to start very soon. I want to thank Mr. Isaac, who himself is a resident of Keon, who himself is a major investor in BEAD. So he is a Keon man who is known as a financial man who is using his field of endeavor to solve a major problem in Keon.
He also disclosed plans to build a stadium in Connery. Prime Minister Drew became the Member of Parliament for St. Christopher 8 in his third time of trying, winning by one of the largest margins in the August 2022 general elections. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
In other news, emerging illegal immigration trends in the Bahamas. Carla Palmer of ZNS News tells us more.
We saw it several times this week. Those images of Haitian sloops laden with substantially more passengers than the vessels could hold, intercepted in Bahamian waters. Now safe on land but in custody, officials now confirm, following further investigations, that although ending up here in country, the Bahamas was never intended to be their final destination. That, according to Commodore of the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, Raymond King.
The Haitians now are moving along the northern border of Haiti, moving closely along the northern coast of Cuba, along the old Bahama Channel. In most cases, they're staying in the Cuban territorial seas and they're seeking to move across the United States. The incident of most recent in South Andres, that particular vessel was one of two vessels that we, along with the United States Coast Guard, were monitoring and seeking to intercept.
Like other mixed nationalities, including Cubans, who reportedly enter the Bahamas legally but never return home, instead are smuggled into the United States, Commodore King says not only are their reasons much the same for fleeing, but the end goal as well.
Haiti is basically a failed state right now, economically, politically, and socially. That is driving them under health crisis. And so that's a pull factor for them. There's another factor called the parole visa program by the U.S. government that creates the opportunity for persons to apply for visa, be able to enter the United States for a foreseeable period until their status can be determined.
According to Commodore King, for these latest groups of Haitian migrants, it was the weather, namely cold fronts, that caused their vessels to detour, pushing them toward the Bahamas.
There was an event at the southeastern tip of Great Inagua recently. That vessel was destined for TCI, Turks and Caicos Islands, but weather condition forced it to the southeastern tip of Great Inagua. And when you have those strong cold fronts, the weather comes from the western quadrant. And so if they're moving along, hoping to move northwestwards, they're now pushed to the east.
Commodore King says with the help of local, regional, and international counterparts, RBDF will remain steadfast in its mission to detour, deny, and dethrone all illegal maritime activities in the protection of our borders. For the Bahamas Tonight, I'm Carla Palmer.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Now that the United States has removed sanctions on Venezuela, allowing that country and Trinidad and Tobago to proceed with the Dragon Gas deal, Energy Minister Stuart Young tells TV6 News he will be heading to Caracas in short order.
Plans are moving apace to develop the Dragon Gas field, now that TNT has secured a waiver from the U.S. for exploration in Venezuela. A tight-lipped Energy Minister Stuart Young would not disclose details, but he tells CCN TV6 an official meeting will take place soon.
This is something that the Prime Minister, myself, have been working on for a long time, and you're now seeing the pieces start to come together. But it still requires diplomacy, and we will continue to work in the manner that we have with confidence and competence and confidentiality. The Prime Minister, myself, met with the Venezuelan ambassador, and very shortly, as I say, you all have some patience, and we'll make the necessary announcements soon. I will be in Caracas very shortly.
Aside from the Dragon Gas deal, Minister Young says there's a lot of activity in the energy sector.
We closed our bid rounds recently, our onshore, nearshore, had 16 bids in. We have completed the restructuring commercial terms. There's a lot going on. We're currently in negotiation of deep water. So you all will continue to see significant achievements coming in our energy sector, because that is what is going to keep our economy going.
On Friday, the Ministry of Finance announced that our economy had experienced growth of over 4% in the first half of 2022. But the Energy Minister is advising cautious optimism.
I leave the Minister of Finance to talk about what he sees as the growth of the economy. I know in energy we had a particularly good year in 2022, but I also think that the country needs to take note of what the Prime Minister has been saying, and that we will continue to be cautiously optimistic. But these types of developments and the volatility of the energy sector globally are something that we continue to keep our eyes on, and we will continue to be optimistic but cautious.
Renessa Cutting, TV6 News.
Scores of companies participated in the Trinidad and Tobago Energy Conference, which ran from Monday to Friday of last week. TTT News has some details.
The premier event welcomed thousands of visitors to the company booths. Among those on hand were Unipet and Acropolis Medical Center. Chief Executive Officer of Unipet, Dexter Riley, shared some of the company's plans.
we do recognize that how transportation energy is consumed is changing. And we are investing in the future to manage that transition from fossil to electric energy consumption.
Mr. Riley added that the company was committed to offering consumers the best customer experience, with Unipet stations being a one-stop shop. It wasn't just energy companies at the 2023 Energy Conference. Acropolis Medical Center also had a booth at the event.
We are a medical institution, outpatient. Our next big plan is to move into a hospital facility, a full-fledged hospital facility, providing even a higher level of services to the clients that we have in the energy sector and to our family and individual patients.
This year's Energy Conference was held at the Hyatt Regency and featured major energy companies like BPTT, Woodside Energy, Shell, and the National Gas Company.
In the meantime, ties between Trinidad and Tobago and the People's Republic of China continue to be both economically and culturally strong, according to Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs, Dr. Amory Brown. Terry Ann Brown Campbell of TTT News reports.
According to Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Minister Dr. Amory Brown, Chinese culture has become an integral part of our local culture.
It is with great pleasure that I herald the exchanges between TNT and China that are ongoing. Our engagement with the Belt and Road Initiative, the Phoenix Park Industrial Project, the Forensic Science Center to be constructed, our cooperation in the multilateral space, which is as strong today as it has ever been before.
China's ambassador to Trinidad and Tobago, Fang Chiu, said the event was the first Chinese Spring Festival to be celebrated in this country.
This year is all of great importance to China-Trinidad and Tobago relations, as it marked the 10th anniversary of President Xi Jinping's historic visit to this beautiful island country. Over the past decade, our bilateral relations have yielded fruitful outcomes. In the year 2022, the bilateral trade volume exceeded $1.3 billion.
He noted this represents growth of 23.4% over the previous year. The Spring Festival was celebrated with dragon boat rides, face painting, and other events in Chagaramas on Sunday. Terry Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
Usain Bolt's WellGen LLC company's account found to be registered in St. Lucia, and it takes the spotlight. More in this TVJ News item with Andrea Chisholm.
According to the documents, the WellGen business address is listed as First Floor Bourbon Street, P.O. Box 1695, Castries, St. Lucia. Located on that street is a library, a hardware, government offices, a credit union, and a boutique. Now, St. Lucia is a tax haven, and many Jamaican companies have set up subsidiaries in the jurisdiction, taking advantage of the 1% income tax rate. These companies are governed by the country's International Business Companies Act 1999. One of the perks is that the island maintains absolute confidentiality of its clients' details and ensures complete anonymity and security for all its offshore company formation services. These companies, like WellGen, are not required to have a physical office, but they must be earning in foreign currency. They typically hire a company secretary for their services. As for WellGen in St. Lucia, it was opened in 2012. According to reports, there are 2 signatories on the account, which was managed by then SSL employee Jean Ann Panton. It's understood that Usain Bolt is not a signatory.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at HubbardsHardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.